Hello, my loves. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all enjoyed your holiday yesterday. I know me, I'm definitely enjoying my time off more than anything. But yes, I will definitely take a paid day off, enjoying good food, being around family, friends, whatever, etc. But me, most of my family is in Oklahoma. I'm in the Midwest. So, just my immediate family came over to my house. So at least I didn't have to get out there and drive in the cold this year, which I do appreciate. And then I'm enjoying the day after being off because I need to recoup eating all that food, y'all. Like, that was ridiculous what I did yesterday. I'm like, oh, my stomach hurt. Yeah, I just did a bit much. If y'all don't know, I have been on a no sugar November fast with my man, and we gave ourselves a free day yesterday, and oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm still recouping from that. While you are here, go ahead and like the video and hit the subscribe button if you are enjoying my kind of content. Now, for this video, I was gonna name this "My Man Ain't Really My Man," but I was like, nah, because technically in some of these story times, the man is their man, especially legally. So I'm labeling this now of "My Man Was Her Man Too," because that's more appropriate. So this is a new topic I'm bringing on. This is going to be part one. There's plenty of these stories, but we'll start with part one, see how y'all like it. So go ahead and enjoy the videos, and I will be back at the end with my commentary.
My dead husband got a girlfriend. Let's talk about it. So just a little something about me and him, right? So we from New Orleans, right? And he decided to join the military in 2018. We got married August 2019, and my husband died December 2020. So in October 2020, we decided to go back home to go see family and stuff. He told me that his people wanted to talk to him. By his people, his daddy and his stepmama. So he went over there, and I was with my people, right? Fast forward, we on our way back to Kentucky, where he was stationed at. And so I decided to ask him, I'm like, how did it go with your people? What y'all talked about. He said, oh, they asked me, knowing what I know now, what I have still gotten married. I said, oh, what you said? I told him no. In my mind, I'm like, you told him no? Like, the fuck you mean? But on the outside, I think I was more like shook because I didn't know he felt like this. Like, I'm thinking we good. You wanted to get married. I tried to tell us like, wait, let's not do this so fast. But you wanted to get married, so we did it because that's what you wanted to do. And now you regretting getting married? So the relationship I have with his parents is very non-existent. I don't think they ever liked me, and that's another story for another day. So we make it to the house, and it was kind of quiet for like a few days. Like, we really wasn't talking to each other because how dare you? You know what I'm saying? Like, getting married is what you wanted to do. I just couldn't talk to him. I really ain't have nothing to say to him. So he woke up one day and was just like, I don't want to do this no more. Do what? Do what? This marriage? Mind you, we've been together for 8 years, y'all. We was together for 8 years. So what you mean y'all won't do this no more? We married. We signed papers. Like, what? So we ended up getting into like this big argument, and he took everything out the house and left. The only thing that he left at the house was my clothes. He took all the TVs but one TV. And he tried to take the dogs, but I wasn't having it because you're not about to take my dogs. If you want to leave, you can leave, but you're not about to take my dogs. And I was fighting for my marriage. Like, I was fighting. I remember crying like 2 weeks straight. I couldn't. Because I just didn't understand. Like, you had a conversation with your people and now you don't want to do this no more. Like what's going on? Like, talk to me. But he did not want to talk to me. He didn't want to tell me nothing. So boom, Thanksgiving is approaching. I'm like, so are we gonna spend time for Thanksgiving? He like, no, when I tell you my husband abandoned me, he abandoned me and he abandoned our marriage. I remember asking him like we made a vow before God, so like we supposed to be doing this. Like, why don't you want to do this? Like, we made a vow before God, and all he said was, that's something me and God gotta talk about. Okay, come December 8th, my husband died, and he was at work. My husband was a mechanic in the military, and yeah. So when the incident happened, they kept his belongings that he had with him, and obviously they kept him. My husband died like on a Wednesday. His autopsy was on that Friday, and so after the autopsy, the military brought me everything that was on his body, so like his car keys, his ID, his phone, all that. So I turned the phone on. I charged the phone, turned it on. He changed the password, so I couldn't even get in the phone. But there was this number that was calling and texting him like crazy. So I decided to call the number off my phone, and child, she answered the phone. She answered the phone. So I'm like, hello. She said hello. I'm like, do you know Gary? She was like, yeah. I said, what he is to you? She said, his girlfriend. Okay, part two. So yeah, she said, I'm his girlfriend. I said, how long y'all been together? She said 2 months. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, 2 months ago was October. That's when he decided to have a conversation with his people. Oh, so that's when you probably wanted her, you probably met this chick on a dating site. And I say dating site because he never left my side. Where he go, I go. Where I go, he went. Unless he went to work. I was, work or PT. Other than that, we're together. So that means he was on dating sites. And the thing that got me was the fact that if somebody called, he'd be like, babe, answer that for me. Or babe, who text me? Or babe, I had no clue. So I said, okay, you know he was married? She was like, yeah, he told me. I said, oh, he told you? She was like, yeah, he told me that you live in California. I said, no, I don't live in California. I live in a house that me and him have together. That's where I live. I'm in Kentucky. And so she was like, oh, I'm a woman first. I would never. So I let her go on about the spill. But me, I feel like if you was a woman first, you wouldn't dare mess with a married man. I don't care if he told you that he getting divorced tomorrow. Okay, when you sign them papers, you let me know. Like, I don't want to hear about you being a woman because bitch, as a woman, you know how it feels, right? To be cheated on, right? You may not know how it feels to be married. I don't know your situation, whether you was married or not. You probably don't know how it feels to be married. But you know how it feels to get cheated on, right? So if you was a woman first, why would you mess with a married man? He told you he was married. Niggas lie all the time. Like, so after she went on her little spill about how she a woman first and she would never and blah, 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 blah. I was like, so did y'all kiss? She was like, no. Did y'all have sex? She was like, no. I don't believe her. So I told her, I said, well, I just want to let you know that your boyfriend is dead. And she was just like, I'm so sorry for your loss. I am so sorry for your loss. When did this happen? I said Wednesday. Are you sure? I'm his fucking wife. Why the fuck wouldn't I be sure? What? But I kept my composure with this lady because one, I just wasn't in the right mind. That's one. Number two, I have a right to be upset with you because you knew he was married. You know what I'm saying? But she don't owe me no loyalty. My issue is with him, right? Is with him. So, you know what I did? After I talked to her, I got off the phone with her and I decided to call his people. I called his people. And I wanted to know if you knew that your son was cheating on me. You know what his stepmama told me? This lady gonna tell me I'ma bury my son with dignity. That's not what I called you for. I don't care if you bury your son with dignity. I don't care if you don't bury. I don't give. What I want to know is, did you know that he was cheating on me? She refused to answer that question, so it leads me to believe that she
That's why. So on my side of the family, it ain't nothing like that, right? It's nothing like that. If you wrong, you wrong. If you right, you right. When we got married, my aunties told us to seek wise counsel when things go wrong. You go to a married couple that could give you advice, somebody with a successful marriage. So when he decided to leave, I called his people trying to talk to them like, okay, well, like, what do I need to do? They didn't want to talk to me. His daddy told me, you need to talk to him. I'm like, but he doesn't want to talk to me. So I'm just like, you're the closest thing to him. So I'm just asking, like, I'm just trying to seek wise counsel. Bury your son with dignity then. Child, I think I was more shook than anything. So like with my grieving process, it was different. So my husband passed in 2020. I lost my mama in 2018. So it's very different. Losing a mama is different than losing your spouse. And then with my situation is I had already grieved my husband because I had to grieve my marriage because he left me. He up and left. So for 3 months, I was already grieving that I didn't have a husband. It's different that he died and not that he's dead. The information that I found out, because his best friend called me one day and told me that he found out that my husband ex-wife. That is another story for another day. You want to bury your son with dignity when y'all should have seen that funeral. Only 2 people that claimed to be his friend came to the funeral, and only one battle buddy. Nobody really came to his funeral.
He had a girlfriend the entire time. So this is a story about how my 5-year relationship in college had a girlfriend the entirety of the beginning time when we were in our talking stage. And I was with him for 5 years after that. So boom, this is how we met. So basically, it was like the end of the year. We were going into the summer. Me and my friends had our apartment off campus, so it was popping. And it was after some party, and we were at Waffle House. And me and my friends are at one table, him and his friends at another table. And what happened was we were all drunk, kicking it, talking amongst each other. And his friend was trying to hit on me, but I was trying to peep him. And what I did was, I had him show me his Instagram, and I'm like, oh, do we follow each other? And I typed in my number in the search bar so his friend could not see that I was trying to get on with him. So boom, that's how it starts. Also, I'm also in the midst of getting done talking to this one guy that I should have not been talking to and dealing with. It was this whole baby mama drama, just stuff that I didn't have no business being a part of. But that's how we met. So fast forward into the actual school year, nothing really came of it. It was just kind of like, oh, whatever. That coming school year after the summer, me and him were hanging out every day on a daily basis. It was like best friend. Chemistry, amazeballs. My friends loved him. He was always over, always kicked it with us. We had really so much fun together. But me, I had a hard time letting people go when I was in college. So I would let people hang around longer than they needed to. And the guy who I was talking to in the beginning of the story, I was still talking to him and hanging out and stuff. And they basically intertwined. So eventually, it's little things happening. Other story times within story times where me and the guy eventually we're done. We don't talk anymore. I'm over it. I'm good. Emotionally cut off. So it's just my 5 year. So everything's good. Everything's great, right? We kicking it. Boom. The day of. So it started off as a normal day. I'm laying on the floor. I'm on my phone. My 5 years sitting on the couch in front of me. I'm like directly in front of him. I'm on my phone and I'm going through Twitter. And I'm just scrolling. I ain't looking for nothing. I ain't looking for nothing suspicious or anything. You know how you just scroll. So I actually go on his Twitter account. And I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm not looking for nothing. I'm going through his likes. I ain't looking for nothing. And I see this girl that I remember him showing me like months and months when we first started talking. And I don't know why, he just randomly asked me, was she cute? And I'm like, oh, she's cool, not thinking, never saw her again after that. So of course, when I see her face, I'm like, oh, I remember him showing me her. Let me go to her profile. Click. So I'm clicking it. I'm like, oh, she's cute. I'm scrolling through her tweets. And all I see is me and such make a crazy couple. Mind you, he's sitting in front of me. So I'm sitting right here. I'm looking up at him. I'm looking at the phone. And I'm like, okay. So I keep scrolling. He doesn't know what I'm doing. And then I start to see pictures of them together in his dorm. Because I was there too. And I'm like, okay. So I get up quietly, silently. And the way that our apartment, me and my friend's apartments were set up, we had a long hallway. And I was in the room all the way at the end. And the far just straight down. So I got up. I walked away. I didn't say anything. And I locked the door.
And he came back. He sent me a question mark via text, and he ended up knocking on the door, and he's like, everything good? And all I did was just show him the phone. Let me tell you what this man said to my face. I showed him the tweets. He fixed his lips to lie so badly, and I believed it. He's like, oh, that's just this girl who, whenever she get mad at me, she talk about, whenever she get mad at her boyfriend, she start tweeting and just saying random shit about me. And I didn't believe it, but like really. So I'm boohooing crying because I'm like, I don't believe it, right? And at the time, I worked mornings at Taco Bell drive-thru. So like the Scorpio in me is like, nah, we need to be the detective. And we've been kicking it for a good 4 or 5 months. What do you mean? So I go to the girl's Twitter and I DM her. Boom, I'm blocked out of nowhere. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. Mind you, I'm at work. I had to be there at 6:45 and I got off at 10:30. So I'm looking at the clock. I get a text from my 5-year. He's like, oh, I knew this was gonna be this way. Oh, I knew this was gonna be a mess. When you get back, all my stuff's gonna be gone. This is over. Da 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 da. And I'm just on the clock. Let me clock out. I gotta clock out because my emotions. When I get emotional, baby. So as soon as I get home, I go in my room. He's gone. Everything. He took everything. So me, I go to his door. And I'm just do. He come out. He hit me with the, man, what you want? Why you doing all this? Like all that stuff. Meanwhile, I'm crying. I'm hysterical. Like I'm freaking out because this is all so random. Everything was fine. And then all of a sudden I found this girl's Twitter page and it's been So I eventually leave. I go back to my apartment and I'm giving my roommates all the tea. These are my best friends also. So I'm giving them all the tea. And then my one best friend, she's like, I just know such and such doesn't have a girlfriend. I just know he ain't got a girlfriend. Like, that's crazy. Like, ain't no way. Mind you, I let him use my phone, an old phone of mine, because he got his phone stolen at a Jordan release. So I'm like, all right, bet. Since you want to act like that, give me the phone I gave you back. You can be phoneless. I also tried to get his car towed from my apartment complex because you didn't live there. But in the distance, I saw a little milk dud head from the distance walking to their car, and he eventually got his car, or whatever the case. So I'm looking for that phone. So I'm like, hey, give me the phone. We have to pull up to the library in order to get the phone. Let me set the scene. Imagine somebody who is crying for the last few hours. It's winter time, and you pull up in your friend's little orange PT Cruiser at the library, and you're just going to retrieve a phone. And when you walk in very quietly. It's a very wide floor plan. You walk in, you go to the right where the computers are. Before you take your phone, well, actually, no. You take your phone, and then I'm not condoning that. But that's where I was in that moment. I said nothing. I walked out. Literally took the phone, did that, walked out, said nothing else. So I'm back at home bawling my eyes out, and then I get this idea. I'm like, whoever that girl is, they're probably trying to get in touch with him. So you know what I do? Because first thing I did was put the phone in the back. But then after the fact, I thought about it. I went and grabbed that phone, and guess what? She was calling his phone. And so what I did, I called her back. And I said, hello? She said, hello? And we already know where this is about to go. Putting the pieces and the puzzles together, lining up dates, lining up calls and things like that. And we just like, this whole time, this man had a whole girlfriend in his hometown and then was talking to me at school. And the crazy part was, like, his friends, he was a little bit different from his friends. I still think that he is, but I used to be like, I'm so glad you're not like your friends. I'm so glad you're not like your friends. The whole time be just as bad. And my low self-esteem, you'll notice through these stories, there is this common little storyline of me, and it's always me and another girl. Not anymore, but like back then, that was like a running thing that I noticed in my life, is that it was always me versus somebody else. Boundaries, girls, boundaries. Don't be like me. This is story. I'm trying to help y'all not be like me, which I hope no one's like me, because like, it's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. But please tell me, how did that happen? And then after the fact, we were in a whole 5-year relationship, and it was actually a really good relationship. Like, families loved each other. Like, that was probably one of my best relationships. And honestly, it probably didn't work out because we were really codependent on each other. And once we actually had far distance over a long period of time, the codependency wore off. I learned a lot.
For Grand Cayman. We went for about a week, and honestly, the experience was amazing. It's the best food that I've ever had in my life. I would totally go back. It's a beautiful island, and it was extremely relaxing up until. So we get to the hotel, and I don't have service on my phone, but I want to let everyone know that we made it safely. So I go to grab his phone to let everyone know, and I can't get it in. Password is changed. What a weird, right? Right after getting married? Well, I asked him why he changed the password on his phone, and he said, I do it every so often. I'll change it back. It's not a big deal. So he did. He changed it back. While we were there, things kind of felt off to me with him. He just seemed super supportive, which was really weird. I know that sounds bad. He was okay with me getting as much rest as I needed. Again, I know that sounds bad. But there would be times when I would wake up in the middle of the night and feel like he was over me on his phone doing something, but I just couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew something just did not feel right. So the last night we're there, or the last day, he wants to go out for a swim on the beach, and he leaves his cell phone in the room. I bet you can guess what I did next. Well, when I went in the cell phone, there was nothing in there at all. There was no phone numbers, no contacts except for his mom and his sister and maybe his best friend. No contacts, no phone calls going out, no phone calls coming in. There were no messages. It was literally nothing in his cell phone. No text messages, nothing. So I go to the mail and I see if I can find anything there. Again, nothing. So I go to the trash in his mailbox, which he didn't empty. Sure enough, I saw him messaging his girlfriend. Yeah, his girlfriend on our honeymoon, telling her that he was working and that as soon as he got to an internet hop, he would contact her and that he missed her so much and loved her. So I got a hold of her information, took a screenshot, and let her know that my husband was on his honeymoon with his wife. She said, prove it! I don't have time for this. I go out to the beach. He's in the water swimming. No care in the world. Wife and girlfriend. And I hand him his phone and let him know that I now know and storm back off to the room. So I head back to the room at this point, feeling like I am literally dying on the inside. I'm devastated. I can't believe this happened. It feels like I'm in some kind of telenovela or PG-13 R-rated movie, but this cannot be my life. It just can't. It was indeed my life. What you guys don't know yet is that we should have never gotten married. I was pretty miserable leading up to the wedding. I felt like something was totally off. We didn't have sex our wedding night. He was extremely unsupportive during the process. But back to the story. I'm in the room, and here he comes. Of course, his first reaction is to deny it. He doesn't know what's going on, guys. He doesn't know. Okay, gaslight me. Way to go. We quickly move past that, and he goes to, my dad did this to my mom the entire time growing up, and I don't know how to do any better. It's all I see. All I saw my entire life. Honestly, I'm not buying it. He knew exactly what he was doing. The worst part about all of this is we have a flight to catch back home, so there's no time for this. So I feel like I'm dying on the inside, heartbreaking, and I gotta pack up my shit, go to the airport, sit in the airport, sit on the plane, and make it back home. And all the while I'm going through all of this alone. I'm not telling anybody that I found out my husband was cheating on me on my honeymoon. No way. We get to the airport, and I quickly realize that he cares more about what everyone else thinks and sees than what's just happened. He starts laying into me about how I need to get over it and it's not that serious and I can't be acting like this in public. Obviously, I'm not speaking to anyone. I'm just to myself because I am literally breaking right now. He scolds me again. We get on the airplane. He finds out that I'm still upset, still crying. He scolds me again. I am the problem. He tells me to get over it again. It's not that serious. I'm being dramatic. I need to stop it. We're in public. I don't need to let people see me like this. It's a private matter. You're joking, right? We get back home. I lock myself in the bathroom and he proceeds to do the exact same thing. I'm going through all of this alone. Meanwhile, his family is asking where the thank you notes are, thank you cards are for the gifts that they gave us, which wasn't really much. And he proceeds to tell me that I need to do these thank you cards. Do you think I did them? You do it. I bet you're wondering, and no, I haven't left yet.
Okay, so let's get into it. But before we do, shout out to all the ladies who told the story. As y'all know, I always keep their TikTok names on the bottom left corner. So definitely feel free to check out their stories, unfiltered if you like. Y'all know on YouTube, they will flag me if I include the cursing in certain words. So I always edit their stories a little bit. But if you want to see, of course, the raw stories, you can go to their page and even check out their other content. Now, starting with the first girl, one thing I cannot stand is family members who justify or even enable other family members' BS. And if y'all know me, well, obviously some of y'all don't personally know me, but I mean, like, have watched my content before. I spoke about like my divorce and what I went through after the divorce and all that, which if you are not following my personal channel, make sure you follow my personal channel because I have some updated tea to tell y'all. And it's just, that's why I have to have my own personal channel because this channel ain't really about me. So it's about learning from other people's experiences and seeing what we can learn from it. But just follow my personal channel, Zenah Talk. It's going to be linked in the comments. And I'm going to start posting next month because, yeah, I definitely am going to be doing an updated story post-divorce. It's going to be 1 year after life after divorce, updates, etc. And I'm just going to tell y'all because when I tell y'all, it's just, But anyway, speaking of that, I cannot stand when family members enable BS when it comes to their family member. I don't care if you are my sister. I don't care if you are my child. If you are in the wrong, you're in the wrong. So it's like, no, I don't have to go in tell your business or anything like that, but I'm also not going to enable your behavior. For example, if you are my child and you are not being faithful, it doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to tell your spouse that you're not being faithful. But if you think you're about to bring that BS over here, tell me about it or anything like that, that's not happening. And I might be the one to go tell her. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie because I don't feel right morally knowing that you're out doing dirt under my household, but again, you're not gonna bring that BS over here. Some of these mothers be allowing their sons to bring they side chicks and mistresses, all that to them to their house and everything. Like, I'm just not okay with that. So even though his mother was not like legally obligated or anything to tell her, yes, he was messing around on you, you not answering the question just tells us the answer. So, or you could have just said no. Like most people would just been like, oh no, I didn't know anything about that. But because you knew, you had to try to clean up the answer. So I just cannot stand, again, people who don't hold people accountable. That's BS. If your husband was messing around on you, you would want to know. You know what I mean? Or you would not want people to enable that who are close to him. So you should be doing the same thing. But I feel like she handled that situation, maturely, in my opinion. I think that she handled it maturely. And I feel like, honestly, that's just his karma. Like she said at the end of the story that his homeboy hit her up and said that he found out that he was messing around with his ex-wife. So, I mean, that just kind of shows you his characteristics of who he is. Like, he don't have no morals, obviously, and he don't have no values. And I spoke before on my channel about, like, men and, like, wanting to marry men who actually want to be married. And again, that's going to be on my personal channel as well. So make sure y'all follow that so I can get more in depth about that kind of stuff. But yeah, like you got to marry somebody who actually wants to be a husband. Don't marry somebody who's like, oh, well, I'm marrying you because you want to be married. Like that's a lesson that I feel like I learned at a too late of age. Okay, so do not do that. And he clearly was one of those men who probably just was like, oh, matter of fact, I can tell y'all, because I was in the military. I'm a veteran, and it happens all the time. When you are in the military, they will marry their long-term girlfriends because they like, oh, well, I still want to see them. I want to have access to them. And that is the only way in the military for you to have access to them, because you're going to be, at different duty stations. You can be anywhere around the world. You might even be out of the country. Like my first duty station, active duty, was in Japan. So people will marry people so they can bring them with them, but really they didn't need to get married because they just see marriage as a relationship, especially in the militaries. They literally only do that so they can bring them with them, and they don't even really be wanting to marry them. And then once you get in the military and you get to also see all these different women and what they look like and all that, a lot of them just don't have the discipline to be faithful in their marriage. They be messing around with all these other women and stuff, especially because a lot of them are young. When you're in the military, you have to meet certain age requirements. Some branches are more lenient than others, but you have to meet certain age requirements. A lot of times they want you to be young. So these men, are in the mature mental space to do that. So that's how I feel about the first story. The second story, I can't even say nothing or judge her, because when I was 19, I also did not set boundaries. I also didn't, we're just naive at 19. Like I told you, I feel like women, we don't really hit our mental peak, spiritual peak, until we hit about 30, maybe 29 at the minimum. But I feel like a whole different person for some reason right around the age I was hitting 30. That's when it seems like I really came to my senses. And I feel like for men, that's closer to 40. But you have to also be in alignment to grow. If you're one of those stubborn, ignorant people to where you're not leaving no room for growth, then it don't matter what age you are, you're going to have the same mentality. But if you're one of those people who want to grow, then naturally as time goes by and you learn different things, it's meant for you to learn so you can grow. So baby girl was just in the process of learning what she needed to learn when she learned it. And I love how she reflected back on that towards the end of her story. She's like, I was my low self-esteem ASS. I didn't have no boundaries. I didn't, do this, do that. And that's real. That's real. And I feel like the fact that she said that she kept attracting men who had girlfriends, that's definitely a self-reflection issue. That's definitely a pattern of her being insecure, having low self-esteem because you feel like you're not good enough. And spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, you will keep attracting men who show you that you are not good enough, because that's what energy you are putting out there. So that's a lot of inner work you have to do. On my channel, we talk about fatherless daughters. A lot of times that roots from that, and I have a whole Fatherless Daughters playlist on my channel. So feel free to check that out if you want to learn more in depth about that. But yeah, so I'm so glad that she self-reflected. And I hope that she has better experiences now in her love life, now that she done that partial inner work. I don't know if she done all of it, but I'm glad that she reflected on that. And for the last story, oh my gosh, girl, I didn't even know that much about him, but he sounds very much so like a narcissist. Not you telling me to get over me finding out that you have a mistress on our honeymoon. You gotta be out your mind. Telling her to get over it. What? And then using the excuse, oh, well, I'm so used to that because my dad, he did that. So, boy, please. That's like Clay off of Love is Blind. Sir, get it together. You're a grown man. If you need help, go get freaking help and get over that. Go get some spiritual healing, cleansing, what you need to, counseling, whatever you need to do, because that's not an excuse for you to do that. Otherwise, you don't need to get married. Why are you marrying me if you clearly have a problem staying committed? That's crazy to me. Don't marry me then. And I feel like these are questions to ask men up front. Well, how was your relationship with your parents growing up? Did you ever witness, them cheating? And I know that's kind of some more in-depth questions, so it's probably not something you should ask on a first date. But I mean, as y'all get to know each other more and talk about families, I would start bringing that stuff up. Well, how do you feel about your father? How do you feel about your mother? Have you ever witnessed anything one of them cheating on each other or, anything like that? And that's a little personal. But again, once you get to know this person and y'all share more deeper things, I feel like it's a good topic to talk about, because sometimes people will react to what they see from their parents. That's why it's important, and I've talked about this before, that if you are in a relationship with somebody, let's say that you are in a relationship with your child's mother, child father, if it's toxic, Please don't think that getting married, anything is going to change. And please remember that your children are constantly studying your behavior. So if they see that you treating him any kind of way, that's how they gonna think that they supposed to be treating they men. And if you men are treating your woman any kind of way, your daughters are gonna think that that's okay, that they can be treated that way. And your sons are gonna think that that's okay, that that's how they should be treating their women. That's another big reason why I had to get a divorce, because I knew that my kids were getting old enough to the point they knew what names their father was calling me. They could see the behavior. I'm like, okay, obviously this is not changing, so this gotta go. So that's what I think. Let me know what y'all think. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. I will see y'all in the next one.